Shell Point. I'm Christy Skinner, your Vice President of Healthcare, joined today by Dr. Goforth, your Medical Director, bringing you another edition of the Medical Minutes, where today I'm going to be speaking to Dr. Goforth about biologic therapy. So I often get questions, as Dr. Goforth does, from residents asking about different therapy treatments to treat things like rheumatoid arthritis, along with other medical conditions. So I thought when I got a question on biological therapy, I would bring in the expert on things like this, because sometimes I get questions where I feel very comfortable answering them, and sometimes I need to go right to a source like a physician on our campus, and we're so blessed to have our medical director, Dr. Goforth, where I can send him questions, and he said, Christy, no problem, I can join you today for the Medical Minute. So thank you, Dr. Goforth, for joining me today to talk more about biologics. So to start off, let's talk to our residents about what are biologics and what are they used for resident treatment?
Right, well, biologics are a very exciting part of modern medicine. These are basically monoclonal antibodies that have been developed to treat certain conditions. This is a cutting edge, and I would argue with it. I'm probably not the expert, but I do know a lot about biologics that we use to treat things like rheumatoid arthritis or skin conditions, Crohn's disease, many conditions that can be treated by these monoclonal antibodies.
I think it's great whenever we have new things come out for resident treatment that can specifically target their therapies that for a long time they've used a certain medicine that may or may not be the best way to target and treat their condition. And then they'll speak to their physician or their specialist and they'll say, well, what about this therapy? So when somebody gets that recommendation from their physician or from their specialist on their condition, how do they know whether or not a biologic therapy is a good choice for them or not?
Well, I think generally the subspecialists get involved in determining if they're a good candidate. These are very expensive medications. They range anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 a year. And so it's obviously a very important decision. So this is not something your primary care provider would normally write. It would always be a specialist that deals specifically in that area. So it'd be a rheumatologist, if it's rheumatoid arthritis, a dermatologist, if you're dealing with a skin condition, a gastroenterologist, people that deal with this day in and day out.
Okay, that makes sense. Anything that a person should be mindful of or cautious about when exploring biologic therapy as a treatment method?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you think about the body, our immune systems are very, very important. Without an immune system, we could not fight off infection. And so these particular agents actually target suppressing the immune system when it's overactive. And so you could imagine that if this is used inappropriately, you could actually cause problems. So somebody, for example, that had inactive tuberculosis, when they started a biologic, they could actually develop active tuberculosis. So it's important that you get checked for these infectious conditions, make sure you don't have anything that would be worsened by this biologic therapy.
That's good to know, and I always think that when we're speaking of any subject matter, when we're talking about any type of recommendation that we make on behalf of Shell Point and our clinic making recommendations, it's good to explore the good side of any therapy treatment and also the cautions that somebody might need to look into before they start a therapy treatment. So thank you for that advice. So when we're doing our medical learning series has become very popular on campus. I know that you normally have a full house. Sometimes you've had to repeat series because you've had a wait list that's been pretty significant. And so we thought that to explore biologic therapy in more depth than just an interview with you and I today and really truly bring in the experts on it, that we'd host biologics as a topic later on this summer. So can you tell me a little bit more about information upcoming for that session?
Sure, so I'm excited about that because again, this is cutting edge medicine. We're planning this in July. As you say, our series has gotten very popular and I'm filling up each month, so we're actually covered through July now, and I would like to bring one of our subspecialists that deals with biologics. I'm thinking a dermatologist, a rheumatologist, so more to come on who our speaker will be that day.
It's going to be wonderful, and I appreciate you taking the time today to speak with me about this. And like I said, this was a question that came from a resident who just asked me that their specialist recommended biologic therapy as an option for them. So I said, well, let me just ask more about it and provide more information, and we'll host it as a medical learning series. So as you can tell, if you ask us questions, not only will we investigate them and bring you answers, but we'll try to bring more education to the campus about that, because if you have the question, you can imagine that more than one person might have the same question or something similar about it. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Dr. Goforth, for joining me as well. And until next time, Shell Point, stay healthy.